With June behind us, now starts a new financial year. And with that brings new quality standards for our industry. And to talk about that and some more, we have a special guest joining us, James Price from Mirus, Australia. I'm Robert Covino, and this is Mirus Industry Analysis, June edition. Well, average daily subsidy for June saw an increase across all three segments. Not-for-profits were up about 11 cents to 174, and the industry is now hovering around the 178 mark. Occupancy for the June period saw mixed results between not-for-profits and private operators. However, overall, the industry is now sitting at about 90% of all beds occupied. Claiming activity for the month of June was also a bit mixed. We did see a decline in the not-for-profits activity and submissions, with the private operators only down slightly to about 9.5%, but the overall industry is still hovering around 8% of total claims being submitted to Medicare. If we unpack the voluntary claims for the June segment, we did see also a bit of mix where the not-for-profits retreated slightly to only 3% of voluntary claims being submitted during the June period, but the private operators were up 3.66%. Overall, this meant the industry was still traveling at 3.2% of voluntary claims during the June period. If you look overall at the age of claims in Medicare, and in context with the voluntary submissions happening in the June period, we did see the age of claims retreat slightly, with the not-for-profits declining to 38% of claims. It was about 1% decrease. And the private operators also came back slightly to 28%. However, with all of this action across the industry, we did see the industry's age of claims greater than 12 months still sitting around 35% of claims. Looking at the average ACV for residents, both new and departed, we did see the not-for-profits increase by just over $1 to $28.75 for the June period. The private operators still kept pretty tight to around the $20 mark, sitting at $23.66 for the June period. And overall, the industry's new versus departed ACV is at $27.25 for the June period. Looking at the complex healthcare and technical nursing procedures, we have seen an increase in all three segments, with not-for-profits and the private operators both going up. And the private operators now over 50% of all claims in Medicare having a 4B complex healthcare treatment attributed to it. This led the industry to be just under 48% at 47% of all claims in Medicare with a 4B. The pressure area care, though, a good measure of acuity of residents in aged care facilities, also saw an increase across all three segments, with the not-for-profits at 34.5%, the private operators at around 44%, and the overall industry sitting just below 38% of claims having a pressure area procedure attached to them. If we turn our attention to the workforce data, we did see a retreat across all segments, with the per bed per day hours being worked, and also in context to what happened in May. For non-care hours, we did see a 3.5% roughly decline in per bed per day hours to 2.31 hours per bed per day. For care hours, we did see a decline of just under 6.5%. And if we unpack that, we look at RN enrolled nursing and AIN hours over that same period. All three of those segments also decreased over that period. Speaking to the workforce team, they did attribute some of this decline in workforce hours and percentages to a lot of the budgetary catch-up at the end of the financial year, where organizations were trying to trim as much as they could in the last month of the financial year. For allied healthcare hours, we also saw the biggest decrease over the period of 16%, and that was at 0.02 hours per bed per day basis. And a big change from the May period, the agency hours, with the big increase we had last month being attributed to some of the flu outbreaks and a lot of staff sickness, did see an increase in agency hours, but we did see a reversal of nearly 20% over June to 0.05 per bed per day hours being worked by agency staff. Well, joining me on the program is James Price from Mirus, Australia. And James, what's ahead for this financial year for Mirus?
Well, first of all, thanks Rob for having me on the program. I'm a big fan.
Thank you.
We said last week when we wrote to our clients that the only thing that's constant really is change. We've got some big changes at Mirus. Today is Andrew Farmer's first day. He's of course our new CEO. We welcome him on board to bolster the leadership team and take us into the next financial year. And we've got our 10th year anniversary approaching soon. Who'd have thought? And so as our team approaches 50 people, we've invested in Andrew. One of the things we really wanted to focus on this year is the development to one of our core products. So Mirus Metrics has been around in the industry, a trusted source for revenue management information for nearly 9 years now. We've added some extra functionality that will go live in the next month or so, Mirus Connect. So not only can you now read the data from Medicare, you now have the ability to submit claims to Medicare and other events. And I think this is a really interesting time for us because we're respecting the delineation of duties between claiming for revenue and providing care plans. So we shall see that in the next couple of months.
Fantastic.
The other thing that's very key is that we're into a new world of quality standards, 8 new quality standards. We've already responded very strongly with Mirus Works, our workforce management solution, and in particular our skills module, which ensures that staff are not only well-trained and compliant. As a response to the new quality standards, Mirus has produced a guide mapping our solutions and services to the 8 quality standards, and we've included about 160 ideas and recommendations for our viewers to read. So we encourage you to read those, and please give us any feedback.
Fantastic. Well, thanks, James, for joining us today on the program. With the new financial year also wraps up our first year of MIA. Thank you for all the watchers, and thank you for your great feedback through the program. We will continue to revisit some of the trends and also bring more insights from the data in the months ahead. I'm Robert Covino, and this is Mirus Industry Analysis June edition.